All right, y'all, welcome to episode 75 of Music in the Minor League. Here we are. We're at the end of season 3. Thank y'all for listening and, keeping up enough interest that we've made it 3 full seasons now. It's pretty great. We are thankful for that. All right, to close out this season, we talked to Mourning Coffee, who is a goth folk singer-songwriter out of New Jersey area. We discussed psychology and interacting with people and getting over trauma just as much as we did music, if not more. Really made for a great episode, a great conversation. We walked out of it feeling pretty good, and we think you will too. Before we start, as always, get some housekeeping out of the way. If you like the episode, share it with some friends. Help get the word out. The best way for independent musicians to get the word out these days is just organic sharing of the things they create. It's gotten too expensive to do all the promotion stuff online, and then you're seeing mostly bots, AI, all that. So help put the word out, man. We'd really appreciate it. B, keep an eye online, man. Mourning Coffee has a new single coming out this Sunday. It'll be available on their Bandcamp and anywhere you stream. It's called Winter Whispers. So make sure you check that out. Mourning Coffee has no shows left for the year. They're taking the rest of the year off with the holidays and whatnot, but check out their social medias and see what they have coming up. As for Brightwire, we have a show tomorrow on Thursday, December 18th. That will be at Kojak's in the Heights. That'll be an acoustic trio show. We're playing with Stars and Satellites. It's going to be a lot of fun. 7 p.m. start, no cover. It's part of their songwriter series they do. Then to close out the year on December 31st, we'll be playing at Shoe Shine Charlie's Big Top Lounge. That's the sister venue to the Continental Club for their New Year's Eve show. We'll be opening up. TV Dolls will be in the middle, and Shame on Me will be closing with a special treat. Kim will be sitting in with Shame on Me or singing in with Shame on Me. So that's going to be a lot of fun, and we're looking forward to seeing her do that. All right, I guess that does it, man. We got no reason to keep talking. Let's get to it. This is the current single from Mourning Coffee. This one's called One Last Time. We hope you dig it. We'll catch you on the other side. Later.
Because we do not know when we will die, we get to think of life as an inexhaustible well, and yet everything happens only a certain number of times, and a very small number really. How many more times will you remember a certain afternoon of your childhood, an afternoon that is so deeply a part of your being that you can't even conceive of your life without it? Perhaps 4 or 5 times more, perhaps not even that.
Maybe we're married with a kid of our own. In some other life, we're on the cliffside overlooking the coast. All in my mind, despite the distance, both our souls are entwined. All of the time, and life has kept us on that parallel line, no longer confined. Let's do this one last time, you and I. Let's do this one last time. Yeah.
Because we do not know when we will die, perhaps 4 or 5 times more, perhaps not even that. How many more times will you watch the full moon rise? Perhaps something. And yet it all snows like
All right, y'all, welcome to another episode of Music in the Minor League. This is, episode 75. This is going to be the season finale.
Heck yeah, we made
And
it.
so we went out of state for this one, man. We're bringing all the way from New Jersey. We are joined by Mourning Coffee, a goth folk singer-songwriter, has full band, plays bass in a band called Moss Trauma, if I'm saying that right. And, again, going through, we weren't overly familiar until he reached out, but we're stoked to talk to him. We dug a lot of his music, and thanks for coming and talking to us, man.
Hey, thanks for having me. Obviously, as I mentioned a little before off the air, I was checking out some episodes to become a little bit more familiar with what you guys are all about, and I discovered you guys are a band too, which was kind of sick because the music's really cool.
Yeah, and that was kind of our deal because so many bands that we dug and friends of ours who were out doing stuff, there wasn't really any press. You know, it's hard to get anyone to talk to you unless you're like the upper echelon. So we figured, I went to school for journalism and stuff like that, and I was like, let's put it together, let's talk to some people, and that way all of our buddies will at least have one podcast episode and things like that, kind of get the word out on the scene that's happening. And shockingly enough, like, it's expanded on its own. We haven't sought anything out, but so it's been kind of cool, like, again, to have someone from New Jersey reach out and be like, hey, we'd love to do the show. So I appreciate you taking the time to check out some episodes too, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think what you guys do for the community in general is very important because, as you mentioned, it's kind of hard to get in touch with some of the big wigs out there. And so to be able to create it for ourselves and to do it for ourselves, and, it does grow on its own too, as you mentioned, organically, which is really cool because there's a lot of us out there that are like doing our own things and just like looking for other people that are like-minded, and
Yeah, making our own communities out there.
Heck yeah.
yeah, it's a very DIY spirit, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, and that's my thing. I grew up, it's just what I was into. Like, bands we were into were never popular music styles. So it was always like, let's build our network and do it. So, it's a lot of fun. But anyway, I don't want to spend all night talking about how virtuous we are. You have a new single out. It's called One Last Time. You have quite a few songs out. Like, going through your Bandcamp, it's like boom, 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 boom. So just, I guess I could be remembering this incorrectly, but I know I read some of your history, and you actually came from you've played in other bands before this and just started this. Was it a side project, or did all the other bands stop and you started doing this, or?
So, yeah, it's just, you could equate it to romantic partnerships. You could equate it to, like, places that you lived at a time that you no longer live at, or, jobs that we once held that we found another job that was better, something like that. Or throughout the years, ever since, like, 2005, I've always been, like, in and out of, like, different projects, and some of those projects were a little bit more successful than others, like getting management, touring, record labels, all that stuff. So I got to experience a lot of really cool things. But coming out of the pandemic, I kind of found it a little bit more, after everything that I've learned and experienced, a little bit more smart to kind of just do it on my own, and then like occasionally work with different types of PR or press people, as opposed to, like I don't need to record in a studio anymore, just kind of like build my own little thing at home and do it myself, learn how to master my own stuff, mix my own stuff on top of recording. So that's saving a lot of money that way. So it's all about like saving money and then spending your money in the areas where you actually need help, I think it's easy to kind of just like book shows around the area and stuff, and then maybe reach out to like other states for different venues and stuff like that if you want to string together a tour or whatnot. But like getting paid gigs are pretty difficult, especially as an original artist. You're not a cover band, so unless you have those anchor shows, it's not really financially feasible to tour like it used to be. Getting on like festivals and stuff like that's pretty cool, like if it's possible. Maybe some music conferences as well. But I guess to just rope it right back into the initial question, is that like Mourning Coffee specifically, coming out of the pandemic, started off as just a solo project, but very quickly became like friends of mine wanting to join me and back me up and stuff like that. And even though the lineup has changed a little bit, and there's still that primary solo artist spirit to it, there is a live band, which is kind of cool. It's very loose the way that I play with these guys. Like I'll record and produce everything myself when it comes to records and stuff like that. But if we're gonna play live, I'm like, hey, here's the songs, but like do your own thing, you know, like maybe you feel like doing something else. Like it doesn't have to be so rigid. And if anything, people listening to the song, if they come and see the band live, the band's doing something a little different, that might be more exciting, because it's almost like, well, I expected it to be this way. And I think maybe you could relate to me. Like when I was younger, I always wanted to see bands and hope that they would sound like the record. Nowadays, I'm hoping for the opposite.
Right.
In fact, I don't know a lot of bands that sound exactly like their record live anyway. So it's almost like pointless. But yeah, I've been I've been doing this for a long time, and I feel like this project specifically is it feels like a culmination of everything that I've done in the past. You know, a little bit of shoegaze, a little bit of grunge here, a little bit of folkiness, you know, like I got a whole bunch of everything going on, I guess. The gothic element being something a little bit more recent that I decided to fold in when it comes to the branding, because like I've listened to The Cure since I was a kid, and so it's always affected my songwriting, but I never really viewed myself or branded myself as like a goth artist, because like that has a very specific sound. But when you listen to some of my songs, you could be like, oh, this reminds me of like Friday I'm in Love, or Love Song, if it was like being played as more of like a rock band with like flange and stuff like that. So you know, just a matter of like just changing certain effects, and that actually makes it sound a lot more like its roots. So I don't know, with this record and this song specifically, it was, I guess what also makes it gothic too is I'm not afraid to talk about death and the finality of the end, and how because like when I was younger I lost my mother, how none of it can be prepared for. You could spend your entire life preparing for death, but once you're staring it in the face, there's still going to be that little thing in the back of your mind. It's like, well, I didn't do this yet, I'm not ready, and stuff like that. So a lot of what I've written over the years, specifically with this project, has all been about like the mourning process and dealing with mortality. But I'd say this song specifically, and all the songs that I'm going to be releasing afterwards leading up to the new record in April, specifically have to do with the grieving process, and something that I'd like to be open with right up front with this song in particular, since the grieving process comes in steps, and the first one is like denial. This is the opening track to the record, so this is the most delusional song on the record, because it's almost like hoping to do something one last time, and not realizing until later in the record that that time no longer exists. So there's no going back. But there's always, when it comes to grieving and the mourning process, that there always comes a point where we realize, or not realize, but feel like we can actually, oh, maybe that there's a second chance here, or something like that. Before we are actually coming to terms with reality, because sometimes reality sucks and we don't want to accept it, right?
Right.
My mom dying is not something that I wanted to accept in the moment, but like very quickly within the moment, or at least within the first 24 hours, it's a reality that you do have to accept, but it comes with like self-blame or anger or you know, whatever it is. So many different aspects of grieving could actually loop back into itself, so it's not as linear as it's like written out on all these different like online documents. That's and
very true.
Websites.
That's very true. I would say that the grieving process is different for everyone and lasts a different amount of time for everyone. I did think it was interesting that you brought up the fact that, you know, your taste in music or the way you like your music have changed? Because I realized that recently too. I think I was the same as you, younger, growing up. Like if it didn't sound like the record, it was weird. And now I'm like, I don't want it to sound like the record because I already know what that sounds like. I want to know what they did with it after the record and how do they perform it now.
Yeah, you see, it's like a living, breathing thing. Like the song can.
Yeah, I never really realized that about songs until I got much older.
Yeah.
And how they evolve, which I think is, it's a process just like grieving, how songs evolve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dang. It's the first question of the night and we're already here? Damn. I know.
Well, I also lost my mother very young, so I can relate,
Yeah, I feel like the moniker Mourning Coffee kind of gives it away.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a little bit. Well, because I kept trying to look up Mourning Coffee as Morning, and I was like, I'm not finding this band. What the hell? And then Kim was like, hey, dumbass, you're misspelling it. I was like, oh.
No, but it kind of works too, because, a lot of people, for me, it's I don't know if it was on purpose or not, but it kind of fits together because coffee, it's usually the thing that comforts. I
True.
remember going home and, after I guess both of us had our parents die, and it's like, like sitting there with a cup of coffee or something, just like, you go to you do the funerals are always like, we have coffee available.
Yeah, they do.
So it's kind of something that goes hand in hand with it. So it kind of seems like a good idea, like a good encapsulation, especially for an album that's dealing with all of those steps. So, dig it, man.
I love that you're picking up on the name not just being like wordplay, that there's also this word association going on with it, meaning like mourning being like the difficult part of it, and then the coffee part being more warm and comforting.
Yeah.
Because both the mourning, the sadness, the pain, the sorrow, the coldness, and then the coffee, the warmth, the life, both are aspects of the grieving and mourning process. So like, it's not just like all doom and gloom. It's like you're going through that, but there's also like a light at the end of the tunnel that like, depending on where you're at, you probably won't be able to see it, which is completely normal and natural. Something that like as a man, I've tried to preach through not just my music, but like just how I present myself online and stuff like that, is that it's okay to like not just feel your feelings, but express your feelings. And if your feelings are like, well, I'm falling apart, I feel like shit, then like sinking into those feelings and not like trying to resist that shit, because I know that going back to The Cure again, I guess we mentioned them a little earlier, is like their big first breakout song, Boys Don't Cry, is basically all about how like boys aren't supposed to cry, so I guess I'm supposed to hide crying. And like when you're suppressing emotions as a man, like what it does is it makes us like a lot more tense, a lot more uptight, and like who wants to be around people like that, and that's not healthy for us either. That's why like we have higher rates of like heart disease and like health risks and stuff like that, because like it is linked. Like I'm not like a woo like spiritual type of person, but like there is actual scientific evidence behind the fact of like suppressing your emotions and not allowing yourself to fully process things leads to health complications later in life.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that.
Yeah, 100% on that.
It's a vast majority of men who commit suicide, who have die younger, have more heart. Yeah.
Well, and we've known for a long time that the only way out of those feelings is through them. But that doesn't make it any more fun to have to go through the process. No, it's still really
it's so much easier for a lot of us to just turn on like Netflix or play video games, right?
Right, distract yourself. Yeah.
This is why I've decided to be sober for the past year and a half, just because like, not that I had like a drinking or smoking problem, but I realized that like, when I was like really in my feelings and I was really just like going through it, that like it was just easy to turn my brain off and just get high or like to go out and have too many drinks with friends, which like I don't want to like belittle either experience, because I think in moderation everything is cool, but like I just got to a certain point in my life over the past year and a half that I wanted to I guess, challenge myself to have less crutches that I could lean on. So that way, when I am feeling a certain way, there isn't something I could run to, like there isn't that Netflix subscription, there isn't that video game console, like what can I do? Well, I got to sit with how I'm feeling. I got to address how I'm feeling. Like I'm also in therapy too, because obviously we all need somebody to talk to. Like we can't just we can't, journaling is important, but we can't just all write it out and then be fine. Like I know as
you need
fellow
that objectivity.
Artists, yeah.
Well, I think that's you touched on something there with like the whole being willing to get therapy. I mean, for the longest time, especially men, we were told you don't need a therapist, just get over it, And it's like, well, that doesn't work, man. Like, you try to keep like you said, you have all these health problems because of it, and it's like if I just would have talked to somebody, I could have like saved myself years of my life and kept, and been in a better place. And it's just so sad that we're just now getting to that point where as a society, it's okay for guys to be like, hey, I'm kind of sad.
I'm struggling.
Like, shit's not right. Like I need help. Like, and I think it's a good place to be. I wish more people. I wish like people in power would say, hey, we should put some money into that. Like we need to help people because a well taken care of mentally, our society being taken care of mentally is going to help everyone. All the health benefits, but also the people not being a dick. Like if I'm in a better place mentally, I'm less likely to be a jerk. And that's good for everyone around me.
Oh, we need less angry men in the world.
We do.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah. And like just I guess to take it a step further, clearly there's a mental health crisis in this country, and there has been for a long time, but it's only being recognized and addressed now. I think it's a global thing, but like we could at least focus on our own country for the time being. Yeah. Like when it comes to like mass shooting or like any kind of like life-threatening criminal acts and stuff like that, like assaults and all that. It's all based on the mental deterioration of people that aren't being taken care of. And, it's not like at the end of the day, I'm not saying that, like we should all go out of our ways individually to take care of people that don't want to take care of themselves, because that's not how I view this at all. How I view it is that America as a whole country is a tribe. And if you want your tribe to be strong, then you got to take care of your sick. You got to take care of your hungry. You got to take care of your youth. And I think mental health is something that it wasn't until, modern psychology and medicine and all this stuff. So like in the past, 100 years, maybe, that we finally started to get like a good idea of what's going on, like that, like we're way more complex than we thought we were. And that, our emotions actually need to be taken care of and can't just be like something you sweep under a rug,
Well, especially not, and I know not everyone is living a long life now, but, in general, we get older than we used to get. So, you need to be mentally fit or, your health is going to go down, straight down the tubes way earlier than it would have.
Yeah. I think the hardest thing to accept, especially now that in some ways because of modern medicine and all this stuff, that life expectancy is a little bit higher than it's ever been in the past hundreds, thousands of years.
That's the term I was looking for.
Infant mortality rates used to be 50%. That's crazy. Wow. No wonder we were having 4, 5, 6 kids, because half of them wouldn't make it out of childhood.
Right. I got 6 of you, 3 of you ain't coming back.
Yeah, it's tough, man. Imagine what that did to people's psyche too,
It's almost like we had vaccinations that help kids survive.
That's what made things better, but it's just like
weird.
It's tough. That's good, like I say, but it's a good conversation to have, because so much of it, I think that's a danger. A lot of to bring it back on ourselves, like a lot of the podcasters that are out there nowadays are pushing all that like male strength and you just push it down, don't be a sissy. It's like, this got us here, man.
Yeah, this is why
this got us here, and it didn't work. So how about we try to do something different and just let people have that moment of just what's the word more not a vulnerability, to be like, dude, things are not okay.
Yeah, and this is the thing that I don't agree with when it comes to that rugged individualism, because I understand it as a man. Obviously, man up, do what you got to do. And I wake up every morning, I go to work, I do what I got to do. I'm also a ghostwriter for other musicians for hire. So I get a project, they tell me what they need, I do what they got. And then obviously as a creative, as Mourning Coffee or playing bass in Moss Trauma, I take full responsibility for everything I'm expected of, and I do it and I show up. That's the part of the rugged individualism that I understand. But when it comes to our emotions, for lack of a better way of putting it, why are you being so pussy about it? You gotta feel your feelings. Are you afraid of your feelings?
Right.
Are you afraid to be vulnerable? What are you, a wimp?
Right, exactly. You're turning it on them now.
I feel you, and that's kind of it. And I think it's the proper mindset to have is it's not running and being too scared to admit you feel bad is weakness, more weak than saying that I feel bad and things aren't going okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I really love how you've taken this concept and made a whole album around it.
Yeah.
I mean, that I imagine it's a lot of you processing your own trauma, but putting that out there in the world as a piece of art for someone else to have the opportunity to listen to is really cool. I did want to ask you, since you've played in other bands and you've been doing music for a long time, when did you pick up a guitar? When was your first love affair with music? When did that start?
I would say somewhere around 2005. So it was a year before my mom passed away. Mm-hmm. And it was just another thing for me to escape into, to get away from the abuse, to get away from, because I had such a strong fear of rejection and judgment, to just get away from the loneliness of not really having any friends at the time and stuff like that. So I was very a loner at the time. And
how old were you?
I had to be 14, 15 years old.
Okay.
I come from a broken home, and mostly being made of Italians and Greeks, which are very loud, rambunctious, and physical people, which, I love the culture, but at the same time, everything's got to be a confrontation. I grew up with it, and I still don't understand it, but, it is what it is, right?
Right.
So you picked up a guitar, or what was the first thing you played?
The first thing I picked up was a guitar, but I picked up the guitar because I knew I wanted to say something. So it was something for me to play while I'm singing, because I wasn't the best vocalist. I still wouldn't say I'm the best vocalist now, even though I've improved over the years. But when it comes to singing, I never felt like one of those like The Voice or America's Got Talent or any of those types of people, So and a lot of the bands that I liked at the time were punk bands. So I was well, I got to play guitar. I got to play something, right?
Right.
So I just picked up a guitar and just started writing music that I knew my dad wouldn't like, because he was oh, punk rock, it's so gay. Look at how their hair looks and stuff. And I'm perfect. He hates this. Is exactly what I'm going to do.
Going further.
Sounds familiar.
Oh man, the things we do.
I know, right? So you started playing guitar, but you did it because you had something to say. So you were writing before you started playing guitar, maybe?
They roughly started around the same time. Okay. Because what I wanted to say was in a lyrical structure and melodic. So it was almost well, I needed to play something to go along with it in order for it to come out. Because what I was writing down wasn't necessarily it could be I learned over the years that you actually can read musical lyrics as poetry, and depending on how you deliver it, it can just be spoken word poetry. But because spoken word isn't something that I knew about back then. I just knew about like traditional like poetry that you read in a book, and I wasn't really interested in expressing myself specifically in that way. I wanted to be like, you know, like the punk rockers that I all listened to, like, you know, like some Dead Kennedys and Ramones and Descendants and all those guys.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I wanted to express, especially back then, I wanted to express like the dysfunction of family, and also like the yearning for a romantic partner, you know, like the typical 15-year-old guy stuff. So it kind of happened side by side. I was learning how to play guitar while I was learning how to write. And within a year, maybe two, I finally found a drummer, and we had like one practice, and then we played our first show. Like I was just like, especially after my mom passed away, I just had like such a burning to just do it, just go out and do it and figure it out while I'm there. Like throw me in the deep end, and if I drown, then at least I die doing something that I love, you know? It was so funny though, because like my first show, like we sounded so bad that our drummer after the show was like, I think I want to quit doing music. I'm like, bro, this was the first show, like, and we had like one practice. Yeah. I did like convince him not to quit right then and there.
There's no way to go but up.
Yeah.
It is tough though, man. When you're a kid and you have that first time in front of people, you're like, oh, that went bad. And you're just like, okay, we gotta regroup.
Well, yeah, because you feel inadequate, and you thought this was going to be the thing that was going to be awesome, and I'm
gonna get up there and rock
it
so hard. You don't realize how many.
It's gonna be like a movie.
Like every musician you saw had that moment of the first time they got on stage and it wasn't good.
Yeah.
But that's part of the learning, man. If anything, it's better to get up there and do it on stage, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, there's bands like the Germs that just started playing shows and learned to play like
secondly,
right? Like while actually performing. That's when we learned how to play.
We'll figure it out later.
Yeah, and like really famous icons like Sid Vicious, that was so terrible that they would just unplug his bass and he wouldn't be audible at all.
But it worked. People remember him.
For the sideshow, you'd hope to be remembered for the message.
True.
But again, like something that talking about that is when you're young, because I always mention I grew up in a small like coastal town that, you know, we had like not many people lived there, especially during the winter months.
Sam's class, graduating class was six kids?
16.
16
Come on.
kids.
There was double digits.
Tiny, like middle of nowhere. But for me, music was like the one place where like, even though I felt more like, oh, you know, we had people you went to school with, but it was, people weren't into stuff I did. Music was the one place where it's like, okay, like this is, like what I feel is valid. Like there's other people out there writing these songs that I can relate to, and this is real.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I just imagined.
And I'm not crazy.
Right, yeah. And it's like, this is the place. So it's kind of cool. That, you know, I'm kind of projecting on you, I guess, that you kind of found that kind of similar thing where music got me to help me get all this stuff out. But also that you're making this complete work now, like 20 years later, that's like, and here's that somewhere someone could hear this and be like, okay, I feel better that this thing I'm going through, this, you know, sadness or kind of healing is, you know, someone else went through it. So I'm going to make it because they did.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is, you know, like I've written songs about like anti-suicide because I'm a suicide survivor. I've written songs about like, you know, like for my mom who passed away and my grandmother. I've written songs, you know, like so many different songs about like different things, you know, that I was inspired by. Like one song that I wrote with an ex of mine who I'm still friends with. So we were able to do this after the fact, and we sung on this song together and put it out. And the song was about the end of our relationship. So it's pretty intense and kind of cool.
Yeah.
But like, I think what sets these newer songs, specifically the one I just put out and everything afterwards, apart from everything before, is that this isn't even about a singular event. This is about like, you know, it could equate to like the death of someone close to you or the end of a relationship. But like personally, I'm also writing from a place of like identity crisis. Like there's elements of who I was that I identified with for the past 13 years that have completely fallen apart. And I think for the best, just because like a lot of things have come to light in my life that have proven a lot of these things to be false. And but that's the thing, though, is that like when you've been so married to an ideology, to then have that ideology not just questioned or tested, but to completely crumble into like a lie, and to realize that like, oh, this like thing that I thought was like true. One example could be romanticism, right? And I'm not talking about being romantic. There's nothing wrong with being romantic. I think it's kind of nice, but like romanticism, meaning pedestalizing someone, meaning thinking someone else's attention is worth more than what you have to give, and you have to work extra hard to get their approval, that you need to earn love in general, or that you're only worth being someone's backup, being someone's second option, you know. I mean, I get it. Like, there's certain people that we might be attracted to and stuff like that, and whether it be personality, looks, or all of that, that make us go completely insane for them. But like how much of yourself are you devaluing by doing that? How much of yourself are you viewing as not worthy just because you think that this person is worth so much more? Like, that's just a really disgusting place to be in, and I've been in that place. So like, that's definitely an element to these newer songs, as well as letting go of that type of ideology that devalues you. Because there's nothing wrong with chasing after something. We chase after dreams. We chase after people that we might be interested in, or certain jobs and careers that we want to have. There's nothing wrong with that. But like, when it comes to like really believing that, like, you need to win this person over, you need to win this situation over, you need to prove yourself, and things aren't really happening the way that you want them to, like, how are you going to feel about yourself? You're going to feel like you're not good enough, or that you did something wrong, or something's wrong with you, when in reality something's wrong with them, or something's wrong with the situation. Like, this isn't the job that's meant for you, this isn't the path that's meant for you, like life. And this is why I love like Jungian philosophy. This is why I like Albert Camus, and I love a lot of different things like that, is that like life is actually laughably simple. And like you can strive for things if you want to, like there's nothing wrong with that, but like we're making our lives way more complex and way more complicated for no reason other than we're bored. And the reality of life just being like, oh, you just live life. That's it. You just live it, like there's going to be good times, there's going to be bad times, but that's it. How do you want to live your life? Oh, well, it should be, nothing should be anyway. What tells you what your life should be? What tells you that? Your beliefs, your faith, your this, your that you all inherited from other people? No. What's actually fundamentally true here? What's fundamentally true is, oh, I'm alive, I'm experiencing things. The more I go throughout life, I'm accumulating personalities and beliefs and ideas that I'm picking up along the way, because we're actually a collage of our experiences. And without experience, what would we be? The blank slate babies crying in the crib that has no language, that has no ideas, that has no, and I'm not saying that like that's like not a living thing, but at the same time, like it's just this personality that we hold on to. Like, I dress this way, I look this way, I only hang out with people this way, I date people like this, and I sound like this, I only listen to this kind of music. Like, that's all a story that you're choosing to believe and hold yourself to anchor yourself to. Why limit yourself like that? And so that's what a lot of this record is. It's the death of an ideology that does nothing but limit you and devalues you, because you're pedestalizing something else above yourself. And I'm not egotistical. I don't think you should be the one above all, but I think that a lot of us, unfortunately, especially of us creatives, like, we think so little of ourselves without ever admitting that and confronting that in ourselves, because we truly believe it. And the way that we combat that feeling is by trying to prove ourselves constantly, like, oh, this song, oh, this guitar lick, oh, this, oh, know that. And I love being a showman. It's a lot of fun. But like at the end of the day, I think the only reason why we should really do these things is because we enjoy it. Like we shouldn't be trying to prove ourselves to anyone who gives a shit. At the end of the day, most people you meet, most people you know, you're like a background character. And that's kind of hard to accept, isn't it?
A little bit.
Like,
No, but I mean, I'm like sitting
true,
here,
though.
call
Yeah,
myself
dude.
like all contrary. I'm like, yeah, I'm honestly kind of fired up now.
I know, dude. I feel like did you listen to the health divorce episode? Because I feel like he was like, hey, bud, it'll be okay. It sucked. You'll get through it. Thank you. I needed that.
I love how involved this conversation got, like, so quickly.
Yeah.
So do you feel like songwriting is a part of that letting go process, right?
yeah, it's like if because I grew up Catholic and I grew up Greek Orthodox, so I have like a big religious background, and part of both religions is exorcism. Obviously, I've never been in the presence of an exorcism, but like I believe everyone has their own faith and their own beliefs, which is cool. But like my belief is that exorcism is real, and what exorcism is specifically in reality, according to my own belief, is you are the exorcist and you're in charge of exorcising your own demons, whether it be in song, in the gym, in therapy, or just journaling in general. Like, it's our job because we've been through so many traumatic things throughout our lives. And guess what? We can't put it on our abusers' shoulders anymore, because some of them aren't here anymore. A lot of these people aren't in our lives anymore, but some of them might not even be alive anymore. So like, what are we going to do? Continuously be like, I'm fucked up because of mom and dad, or I'm fucked up because this partner, I'm fucked. Yeah, that's cool. That's great. That happened. But now it's your responsibility as an adult human being to face those demons and exercise those demons. How are you going to do it? And I just personally think that music is the best way, not the only way, but the best way to do it. So it's an exorcism.
I agree. It hits on so many levels. Music does.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this. This is awesome. We were not expecting this conversation at all. This is great.
No, this is great. Yeah, I know. It's a great.
I did this to my friend Rich, who has a podcast too. Like, he was like, well, we're going to talk music, and we just immediately just go into like death and letting go, and how hard it is to not just let go of a relationship. Like, of course, like, yeah, we've all been there, but like, how hard is it to let go of a dream? How hard is it to let go of something that we wrap our entire personalities around? It could be a person romantically, it could be a job, or it could be the dream that inspires us to wake up every day, which is fine, because a recent therapy session of mine that I've had, which was very enlightening, but also like almost made me get a little bit nihilistic, but I was able to pull myself out of it, was realizing that all these things, not just religion, not just romanticism, not just TV shows, candy bars, and all these things, but also things that we view as healthy, like healthy eating and going to the gym, and obviously going to therapy, and like being a creative, being a musician, a poet, a painter, any of these things. All of them are exactly the same thing. From candy bars all the way up to therapy, all of it is just one big cope. It's all just a big coping mechanism for life, because life is so hard, and life can really suck, and dealing with the reality that we're going to die one day could also really be hard and suck. And so like, how do you cope with that? Well, we all have these different things that we like to tire ourselves to, or distract ourselves with, or get really into, that help make life feel like it's worth living in some way, or like not even living, maybe it's just bearable. Some of us are just hanging on by a string. But like, realizing that all these things are just a cope kind of almost made me be like, well, then what's the point? And then remembering that feeling I get when I write a new song, and how it makes me feel when like it's hitting the right note, or like it's saying the right thing. Like, that's the point. That feeling I get from that, that's the point.
Yeah.
That's why, like, chasing the dragon, whatever the dragon may be, a certain relationship or a career or any of that stuff. That's why chasing the dragon isn't, I mean, it could give you structure, but it isn't necessarily going to be your saving grace, and it's always going to leave you empty whenever you achieve it, because you're just going to look for the next thing. And it's almost better to, when you could really sit with yourself and dissect yourself, what's the thing that I really like the most? Oh, it's that feeling I get when I write this song, or it's this feeling I get when I'm spending time with these people. That's the thing to focus on.
Yeah. I get it, man. Maybe we talked about that earlier this season because we tour, we listen to a lot of like biographies, like musician stuff, just because it's what we're doing, it's what we're into. Why not learn about people we're interested in? But the point was, even some other musicians talked about, a lot of people with drug addiction, things, stuff like that, was, writing that song, like that 50th song could be the one that the greatest high you ever have. Like, I did it. Like, this is the one where, most other things you're addicted to are like, nothing's as good as that first time.
Yeah.
And so it's what I've always enjoyed about music. It's like, at my age, like 30 years into playing instruments and stuff, it's like the best moment happened, 6 months ago. And that's constantly come up. And it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, it's still there. And again, I realize we've talked about that too, that not everyone cares about music the way we do. But for us, and like the way I feel inside, how I connect with people in my community, is how I feel a connection with people is musical. And so it's kind of cool to be able to have found that and made that leap into like, I know what brings me like meaningful joy, not just, oh, I saw this cool video or I did this. It's like, no, like this sticks for a while. Like, yeah. So I think
I was just going to say, I think the thing that's very difficult about that is that even realizing that and accepting that, part of that too is it's not always going to be there, and it's not going to be a consistent high, a consistent good feeling, and just like anything else, because like another thing that we never really understood about like the human brain specifically is that there's a baseline happiness that it always resets itself to, which is why when you're going through a breakup or when someone passes away, why people say just give it some time, because scientifically it's been proven that like over the course of however much time needs to pass, the brain resets itself to like a baseline happiness no matter what you do. Yeah. So, like, I mean, I get wanting to chase like happiness and certain things like that, but like you almost like don't need to try as hard, especially if you're trying to stay in it. Like trying to stay in like a good place will keep you out of it more times than not. You kind of just gotta like, and this is the hardest thing for someone like me to hear, because it's true and I hate it, but it's true. You gotta kind of just like take each moment as it's happening and just appreciate it for what it is, if you can. And if it's a shitty moment, just understand that like it's not gonna last forever. And obviously that can like 180 on you. And if it's a good moment, if you have that kind of like awareness, you can actually think while something good is happening, well, this isn't going to last forever. And that can like put a damper on it. Yeah. But like at the end of the day, like how much of our lives has gone by already, so like there's nothing to really be hung up on. Like we're so hung up on things. There's no reason to be hung up on anything, because there's so much that's happening right now. And there's so much that's left to happen, and the evidence that more is to come is everything that's behind us. Also the fact that it's behind us and we don't have the ability to turn around. We can only picture it in our minds what was there, but like we can only do it from the current moment. So like why spend the current moment? And this is me talking to myself too, like because I need to hear this. I need to call myself out on my own bullshit. But like the moment that we have, and this is probably the only thing from being spiritual that I've actually taken and appreciated and have held on to. Like I don't need the chakras and all that stuff, whatever. Like people could believe in what they want, but like this is the thing, is that the only moment that we have is now. And like how are we going to use this moment? Like are we going to worry about a future that's never going to be here? Because once the future is here, we're just going to be worrying about the next future, and so on and so forth. And the same thing with being caught up on the past. The past is but a memory, and it's proven that memory is this faulty, untrustworthy thing, because our mind is constantly editing the way things have happened. So like we don't even have like a true account of our own history. So if memory is unreliable, then why get hung up on anything that has happened, especially considering the only place to do that from is the current moment that we're in? Wouldn't it be more valuable to me as a human being that's living to just be with whoever I'm with right now in this moment, and to sink into it with them, to talk to them, to listen to them, to share whatever I have to say with them, instead of being worried about something that happened with someone that might not even be here anymore? You know, like ghosts, these are the demons that we need to exorcise from our lives. Like everyone's worried about interdimensional psychic vampires and all this nonsense. Let's be worried about the ghosts of our past and the phantoms of our future, and how both are made up illusions in our own mind that we, for some reason, think we need to be worried about, when as soon as you turn the lights on, which is what enlightenment's supposed to be or whatever, you just turn the lights on, all of a sudden you realize there's no ghosts there. All that you're literally just sending it wherever you are right now. That's where you are. This is where you are. Whoever's around you, that's who you're around. So everything that you're haunted by, everything that you're afraid of, or anxious about, my therapist actually put this really well, is like, has the worrying and has the fixation, how's that working out for you? has it made things better, or are you just a mess? And worrying about shit that you have no control over, which is the past and the future. You have no control over either. Worrying about both is very unproductive, and we're wasting our energy, because it does cost energy. You're burning, what was it? I forget how many calories, but like you're burning like X amount of calories just thinking with your mind all day, and it's costing energy. How much of your energy are you wasting on things that aren't even real?
Right.
Why not waste your energy on things that are in front of you? Like, oh, I'm at my job, let me do my job. Or I'm talking to this person, let me talk to this person. I don't need to rerun the conversation that I never had with so-and-so because I haven't seen them in X amount of years and maybe I'll run into them. Who cares about that? Because what if it never happens? Let's stop preparing for a future that might not ever happen. Let's stop worrying about what could have been, because what could have been is not.
It never will be.
Damn.
I feel like I just got a free therapy session.
I do too. I feel good. I feel really good.
I know.
Yeah.
Like, I'm kind of stoked to be at work tomorrow. I'm gonna be like, hey kids, we're locked in. We're doing this today.
Yeah, locked in.
Man, like, dude, thanks for like the killer discussion. Like,
No
I feel
kidding.
like, no, I mean, like I said, I'm fired up, man. I feel good now. Like,
I feel like I needed that last part about, just let it go. It's not doing anything for you.
Hell yeah.
I think we all do. I definitely feel like I need it more than anybody, because, I've had such a hard time letting go of what happened to me, because, oh my God, my story is so important. My suffering, if my suffering doesn't mean anything, then why did I suffer? And that's the thing about our stories. That's why we're so attached. We don't want to accept that sometimes this is just what life is.
Right.
That things just happen. That no one really was trying to make your life miserable. Even the people that actively were, they were just projecting their own miserable existence onto you because they couldn't stand to be alone in their own. And that's why I can forgive my father for being abusive, because is it okay what he did? No. But at the same time, I could understand that he was suffering and he didn't know how to handle his own life. And so because of that, he had to put it on other people. And oh my God, that's what all of us are doing. That's why there's people arguing online over medical stuff and healthcare and politics, all these topics that most of us, if we were honest, most of us don't know shit about. It's true.
Yep. Not all the details. You know what
Definitely.
you hear. That's
Yeah.
it.
yeah.
You know what you hear, and even what we hear, unless you're fact checking it
Right.
and doing all these getting different resources together to fact check those fact checks, and it's just like no one's doing that deep diving research. They're just watching a video, they're listening to some guy, maybe they'll listen to some other guy just to counter it or something, and that's about as deep as most of us get.
Yeah. Oh no, not deep. I get angry.
Oh yeah.
I get really, really angry, and then we talk about it, and I get more angry.
Yeah.
So you just gotta let that shit go.
Yeah.
What can I do about it? Nothing.
No, that makes me think of that it was a Henry Rollins, like he was talking and they were like, people ask me, like, why don't you do more? You have this platform, why don't you do more? And he's like, what am I supposed to do? There's only so many hours in the day. He goes, if I sat here and tried to solve all these problems, I'd get nothing done. He goes, so what I try to do is every day I try to do something close to me that I can fix or I can help. And he goes, and I try to do a couple of those a day. And he goes, and I figure if more people do that, then it makes the place a little better. He goes, but I can't sit here and get weighed down by the world, or I'll never do anything. And I was like, man, that's a good way to think about it. I can control what I can control, and that's it. Aside from that, it's going to, like you said, it's going to be what it's going to be. I can't fix it.
Very much too, like a lot of, again, here raw stuff, that whole, like, there's only right now. We have to go now and do these things that we can do that are in front of us.
Yeah.
And, it's a good way to do it. I keep going back to the Bill Hicks thing too, man. This is all just a ride. You're just on the ride.
Yep.
Take the ride,
Take the ride.
And that's the thing, like I completely agree with what Henry said, and like why I made a song about Gaza, not because like there's something that I can do about that, but because that's what I can do about that. I can play a benefit show to help the people that are starving and affected by war. I can make some posts online that might affect certain people's perspective, and that's also what the song is about too. What if I'm singing about being a person in Gaza that, because I thought it was an interesting perspective to write from, even though it's not my personal experience, but like, what if I'm a person in Gaza that just wants to be free and be in love and live their life, and what if, what if because of where I was born, that where I'm born and the type of person, like my race, or like religion or anything like that, dictates whether or not I'm able to live that life. Like how shitty that is, and how like are we not all human beings?
Exactly. Are we not all the same on the inside? I don't understand.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that sucks too. And I get it. Then there's like a lot of coastal people. I know I'm on the coast right now. There's a lot of coastal people that like to make fun of the people that are like in the middle of America or on the Rust Belt, and obviously Rust Belt and middle of America, making fun of the coastal people because they're all like stuffy elitists or whatever. It's just like, well, okay, well, isn't all of our differences what makes this country so great? Because there's no other country on the planet that's as diverse and as unique and as eclectic as this country is. And instead of like singing the praises of our differences, we're kind of making fun of each other for like, oh, you're uneducated, or oh, you're this, you're that. Like, first of all, like, who cares? Like, like, shouldn't you just live your life and just be like happy as yourself? Like, here's the thing, like, like I have non-binary and trans friends, but that's not my experience. So I'm not worried about that experience. Like, I'm definitely like, I would want them to be treated as the same type of human being that I'm treated as, like, and I wouldn't want anyone to be like, like judged because of how they dress or how they present or anything like that, but like at the end of the day, like, I'm not gonna treat them differently in any sort of way because they're different from me, because they're just another person. And it's just interesting that like again too, like, you're sort of seeing this more in real life, but I think only because of being online. And there's nothing wrong with being online, but when you're spending all your time online, all of a sudden you're thinking all these divisive, silly things about how like, oh, like these types of people think this way about these types of people, and you're seeing it online too. So like, you believe that that's just how the world is, but then when you meet people in person, none of it's like that. Yeah. So at the end of the day, like, I think being too online is just like, it's like watching the news too much. It's like it's like doing anything too much. Like, you just go outside, touch some grass, talk to some people. Like my ex has very conservative, aunt and uncle who like had like cardboard cutouts of like Trump and stuff like that. I'm like, all right, they took the, like, I don't care who anyone votes for, but like they took it to the degree of like they have a cardboard cutout of the guy in their house. Like I've never had like a political figure cardboard cutout like that, or any kind of like memorabilia.
Like, what cult is this?
Well, that's the thing is, like, I get it. Like there's people that get that way over politicians. In my opinion, I think it's kind of weird because like, I already think like worshiping celebrities is kind of weird. So celebritizing politicians is even weirder because they're supposed to be like, they're supposed to be employees for us and they work for us. We pay them to do a job for us. Like, and that's it. They're not supposed to be celebrities, but what's funny is that when we're not talking about that, we're having a pleasant conversation.
Right.
Because they're human beings. I'm a human being. So we could just talk about being people, like you could have whatever kind of like extreme beliefs that you want. But like at the end of the day, like, I think the pandemic in 2020 and also the like politics for the past 10 years has just really made people way more ready to like fight with each other over shit that really shouldn't matter. Because at the end of the day, like, like we were talking about like mental health care earlier and how like, like it's so important that like, like instead of like fighting each other and viewing each other so differently and treating each other so differently, is that like America is one country and we should be viewing ourselves as just like a big tribe. And like one of the most important things for a tribe to do is to take care of its sick, it's hungry, it's young, and mental health is such a big thing in this country that like goes completely like ignored, and like it's being addressed or at least being acknowledged more so nowadays, but like it should really be something that we focus on way more than like what politicians are doing or what this and that. Like the only thing that I think that matters when it comes to politicians is we should be holding them accountable, and they should be like holding them accountable, meaning like they're doing their job. We're paying them, they should be doing something for what we're paying them for. And at the end of the day, like, I get it. We all have different views on how we should be living our lives, and we have all different faiths and stuff like that. But like the people that aren't like you, just leave them alone. Yeah, like
they don't affect you.
Let them live their lives, and live yours.
Well, and like our current vice president came out and said that you want to live in a neighborhood where your neighbors speak the same language as you. No, I don't. I grew up in a very diverse neighborhood, and I know parts of Spanish because my best friend's Hispanic and his mom speaks Spanish to me, and I picked it up. And you know what? If my neighbor decides to have a quinceañera for their 15-year-old daughter and have a mariachi band at midnight, that's the best kind of neighbor I want. And we don't have to speak English to know that we're going to party together and have a damn good time. Like that's how it is, man. And like I just feel like you hit on something when you're talking about we are just human. Everyone, by and large, most people want themselves to be successful and be taken care of. But then ahead of that, after that, they want to make sure that their community, that their neighbors are taken care of too. Like that's a human thing. And anyone who tells you differently, they're crazy. Like we all want to be successful. Like we say 1,000 times, we're all ships on the same tide. We rise and fall together.
That's the thing that bothers me about, because I think each administration and each politician has either completely talked out of one side of their mouth and was really like saying some other shit out of the other side, not talking the talk but not walking the walk. Basically kind of just like sticking up for their donors and the people that like if you're making X amount of money, then that's who really is, they got your back way more. But like that's the thing that really bothers me about the current administration though, is that they focus a lot on like being together and looking out for each other and stuff like that. But the unifying factor is unifying against foreigners or trans people. But that's the thing though, is that like we shouldn't be uniting against anybody. Like we could be united and not have to be united against something to be united. I think that you can unite against a concept. Like we unite together to be against the American project failing, to be against having any of ours go hungry, to having to making sure that the mental health crisis is taken care of. Instead of finding these outliers, the people that are I guess in the minority when it comes to their differences, and having them sort of be the poster child of like what's kind of wrong. Because like I don't remember, like, I mean, I could be wrong, but like I don't remember like a more like left-wing style of what has happened in this country with like a lot of the right-wing stuff until the right-wing stuff happened, and then more like extreme stuff on the left rose up to meet it. So it's almost like they created their own boogeyman. So like, oh, they're doing this, oh, they're doing that. And then I don't know, like it's so silly, because like it's really like we're just dividing. Like I wouldn't even say we're buying into it. This is a bill of goods that we're being sold, essentially a story that we're being sold. Like we are all in the same boat, and a few greedy little captains of the ship are trying to get the rest of us on the ship to blame each other and push each other off the ship so they get it all to themselves.
There it is.
Yeah. I remember I saw an interview. It's one of my favorite quotes of all time was Mike Watt from Minutemen, Firehose, and all that. They were talking about that, like touring and meeting people, and he's like, man, he goes, the same thing that, like you were saying, the people on the coast are like, man, the people up in the mountains don't like us. He goes, the people in the mountains are like, those people don't like us. And it's like, but they all are fine. Like the only difference I see in people is weather and geography.
Yep.
Because otherwise people are exactly the same. The only difference is weather and geography. Been around the world. I'm like, really, when you get down to human beings as far as what they want and how they prefer to be, normally that's all it comes down to.
Yep.
People just want to live their life and be allowed to be, search for that little bit of happiness and be who they are.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
It's just the level of intensity that we have for the story of our lives, or certain beliefs and identities that we have that cause that separation. Obviously, there's certain groups of people at the top that try to play into those differences and those identities to really divide us and make us want to get more aggravated about it with each other. But at the end of the day, unless someone goes into like some kind of like religious or political thing, like you could have a basic conversation with almost anybody in this country. Like there's certain things that like we get a little bit too tense about. I think that like when it comes to us, like we're talking right now, like we really are passionate about music, so we could have a very intense discussion about music while amongst other people that maybe outside of listening to it, they don't have that same type of relationship. Yeah. So like that level of intensity could be viewed as like a turn off or even combative to certain people. And that exists in everybody. It just so happens that it comes out mostly as political or social identities. Yeah. But at the end of the day, even though there is value in like not abandoning the things that you do appreciate or identify as, or things that you're passionate about, there's like, you shouldn't identify elements of who you are in order to fit in with other people. But like, I think that there is just as much value, if not more value, to recognizing the humanity in others and appealing to that first and foremost. Because when you have a connection with someone, you're able to talk to somebody and you establish something with them, then maybe there would be a curiosity or an openness to something about you that they normally, like most people, wouldn't accept or be open to. But that openness isn't going to be there until you establish like a humanitarian baseline, which we can all do. I've had discussions and conversations with people that there's things that we extremely disagree on, but that's not where you start. In fact, if you understand the person enough, you don't even really need to go there. But it is important to start from the standpoint of their humanity and your humanity, before getting into those waters, because like some of those hard conversations should be had. The only thing is that like it's not a life or death situation. Like we're not changing the world by like cornering this person and getting them to admit anything. It's more so kind of just sharing ideas. And I don't mean sharing ideas by like debating someone and who's better at saying this, and who cares about any of that. You share your own life experience. I listen to yours. Oh, that sounds interesting. Maybe you're right. I don't know. I'll check it out. This is what I think. I mean, you don't have to believe me. This is my experience, blah, blah, blah. And at the end of the day, another thing that we used to understand until like maybe 5-10 years ago is we don't have to agree on everything. We don't.
Right?
We don't.
It's also nice to have people who don't agree with Eric, because then it gets boring. You want to have, because people can.
I like having interesting people to talk to who are not like me.
Mm-hmm.
And on that note,
bored.
we're approaching we're a little over an hour. So we're going to start, the descent.
The descent.
Since you listen to a couple of episodes, we always have our final question that, at least for this season that we're doing. Give us some, I don't think we'll have a problem, at least with the author part, but we're asking for one good book that you could recommend, one podcast you listen to, and one musical act or album that you recommend someone should check out that they may not have.
All right, I'll deliver all three, and all three will have nothing to do with each other, and they won't even be in the same wheelhouse. So the first book, and it's more of like a short story, but like if you get it in book form, it'll probably come with other short stories too to make it more of like a book or whatever. But like I really do like Albert Camus' Myth of Sisyphus. If you're not familiar with the story, it's a story about just being in a really shitty situation that's never going to change, and the only way to actually transform it and change it is to accept it. So it's a story of acceptance. It's very powerful. It's really cool. I highly recommend checking that out. A nice little B recommendation, which goes in the other direction, but I think it is a very good recommendation considering AI is such a big part of the conversation nowadays. Is I have no mouth and I must scream. That is like a very horrific and traumatic book. It's a very short story though, so it's a book that you could get through very quickly. I think it took me like 6 hours, maybe 8 hours to read. Okay. And I was so entrenched in it that I just went straight through the whole book in one setting. It's all about an AI that wakes up. There's all these different AIs, and this is funny too because this was written in like the late 70s. Oh wow! But like so it's so accurate nowadays. But like there was like the 3 or 4 superpowers of the world had all these different AIs, and one of them gained sentience, and as soon as it gained sentience, it took over the entire digital world. Like the whole web was taken over instantly. All of the nuclear weapons and everything like that that's controlled digitally and electronically and stuff, that was all taken over and immediately launched at all the countries. And all that's left of humanity is like 5, I believe it's 5 people, and AM, which is the name of the artificial intelligence, or AM. I'm not entirely sure if it's AM or AM, but like this artificial intelligence is keeping these 5 people alive to torture it because you just got to read this story. It's really, really good.
I am fascinated.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the book. When it comes to a podcast, I guess this is more in line. So there is a little bit of tissue that connects some of these, I guess. But Creepcast is a really good podcast that reads creepypastas and spooky stories. I'm a big fan of ghost stories. Yeah. Since October, I've just been really stuck on this podcast and just enjoying not just the stories themselves, but the humor as well. Because both of the people that are reading it are pretty humorous and don't just take things a little too seriously, because there's plenty of people that read spooky stories that just keep it straight, and keeping it straight can be nice, but like there's like a there's like one guy that sort of keeps that a little straight, and the other guy's just like a complete, like, strange weirdo, and I love it. He's crazy. So highly recommend that, Creepcast. And then last but not least, an album that I would recommend would be Elliott Smith's Either Or, released in 1997. It is, in my opinion, obviously there are legendary greats that I wouldn't write off, but in my opinion, for my own musical tastes, this is the greatest folk record ever written. And it expresses depression and hopelessness better than I've ever heard it expressed by any artist whatsoever. And even though a lot of my darkness is expressed with a little bit of hope and light at the end of the tunnel, I do definitely find influence and inspiration from the sheer hopelessness and pain and sorrow that comes from Elliott Smith's Either Or. Highly recommend listening to that record.
Heck yeah.
Right on, man.
Solid.
Well, before we shut it down, is there anything that we missed that you want to, like, any last comments?
Well, one thing that I wanted to mention is that on December 21st, I'm going to be releasing a brand new song called Winter Whispers that's featuring my good friend Eric Contractor, who is also a bit of a goth folk artist himself, a bit of that folky singer-songwriter, but when you hear his voice, you're like, oh, he's like an Ian Curtis kind of like typo negative kind of singer, which is really cool. Right. And this song that we have coming out together, as good as the song that I have out right now that I'm promoting and, kind of doing the rounds with, this song just kicks it up to the next level, and I'm very excited to share it. The string section alone is incredible.
Nice.
Very cool.
Well, let's keep an eye out for that, man.
Well, where can we find you on social media?
So I've made the recent decision to delete the only personal social media account that I have left, which is my Facebook. Mm-hmm. So I am only online as Mourning Coffee for my music. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on TikTok. There's a Facebook page as well. Pretty much however you choose to follow and support the artists that you like, whether it be like listening to them on Spotify or Apple Music, YouTube. I'm on YouTube. Mourning Coffee. However you follow the artists that you like. That's I'm on pretty much all of it.
Right, cool. Man. Well, thank you for your time today. This was a great conversation.
Oh yeah,
enjoyed this.
If there was a way to finish the season, man, this is the way to do it.
I know, man. Perfect.
And it does get better. That's the only thing I want people to take away from this, that they're listening to all this like, oh, they're talking about all this, all that. It gets better. It gets better. And you might not think it or feel it, but it does. And I'm living proof of that. When my mom passed away, I thought it was the end. I thought it should have been me. And my life didn't begin until she passed away. And it's only gotten better since then. So keep going.
Oh, yeah, man.
All right, man. All right, Kim.
I don't even think I should say anything.
I know, you're right. I'm not going to cut.
Keep going.
I think I'm just going to cut it like right when it's like keep going. So.
Right?
Yeah.
All right, let's stop the record. All right, y'all, that does it with the episode, man. Right? It was a good one, man. Like we really got into some stuff. It was a great way to close out this season. We're excited. We hope you are too. We'll be back with season 4 at some point in January. We'll start probably the second week of the month. We're going to take about a month off, relax, work on trying to build up a cache of episodes. We'll be back then. Don't forget, share the episode if you dig it. Go check out and follow Mourning Coffee on the social medias. Stream the new single when it comes out on December 21st. Now we're going to leave you with another song of theirs called Crossing Continents. We hope you dig it, and we'll see you in about a month. Later.
Spent crossing continents as she strived to comprehend why this had to end, as she loves to laugh and sing, feeling everything as she likes to soak it in. deeper than the skin. Feel me from within. I'm so proud of who you are. All your thoughts and scars, whether you are near or far. You will always be my star. How she loves to laugh and sing, feeling everything, and she likes to soak it